Hello, welcome back to Soul and Self Collective. I'm Liz, I'm a Hmong shaman, and this is my Husha.
Scott.
And Husha basically means Hmong shaman assistant. And so
Yes.
today's video, we're going to be talking, Scott's going to be sharing a lot about his journey. And so, take it away.
And yeah, so people have been asking and commenting, asking questions about my spirituality and where my journey's gone since the last time I made one of these videos. So we decided to dive into it today. Last that we went through, I just did my Shy Eye with Liz's teacher, and she gave me very limited information about where my soul came from. And it came from the Norse area, or the Nordic area, and that was really the old information that was really there. Do you remember anything else that came up during that Shy Eye?
I just remember my teacher telling you that you have to figure out yourself what your spirituality is. That's part of what you were supposed to do. That she wasn't meant to be giving you those information.
That's true. I do remember that. And it did feel daunting because I can't say I anticipated that at all. I thought it was going to be Christian based in some way, but it was also exciting hearing that. I can't say I knew much about Norse or Nordic things, so doing that research was very interesting. And to be honest, you did a lot of research onto it as well. I remember there were times where you were sending me information.
No, I was researching those, but then I couldn't read it, and I just sent it to you for you to.
Oh, for me to read?
Yeah.
But it's still the thought that you were actually taking your time to try and help me.
Well, thank you.
Something.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. And so I start reading into it, trying to figure out where to go, right? Because once I dove into Norse, there was a lot of information, and it always led back to, do I believe it? Or should I believe it? You know, unless something slaps me in the face, I have a hard time like justifying my beliefs.
That's really true.
So I spent a lot of time like doubting it. And it was also like, how do I even talk about this with like anybody else? The only Norse things I even knew about were what Odin and Thor from Marvel. So I had that stigma too, where it's like everyone's just gonna think that it has something to do with that. So it was a lot of self-doubt that I had, but I was excited because I felt like for the first time in my life, I finally had like a direction and I had a path to go down. What that path was, I had no idea, but I was excited to go down it. And that led to the different types of meditations that I tried to communicate with my guides, or just try to communicate with my higher self. Anybody, just try to get any sort of information, because for some reason I thought that if I asked for it, they were going to give me the information, but I didn't know how to even receive the information, because again, I thought that it was going to come in big box with information in it. I was just going to open it up and be like, oh yeah, this is exactly where I need to go. But we both kind of know that's not how things work. So it spent a lot of time just trying to figure out what those feelings even were, why I should believe them, how to believe them, and again, what I was so fixated on not diving into specific things because I wanted to find out what the specific one was before I committed to it. So I spent a lot of time just looking up a bunch of stuff to where it just got overwhelming, and I just kind of shut down from it for a while until I started to get feelings again. I started to have strong urges to look up specific videos. I had very strong urges to learn about specific things, and that just came out of the blue. So I thought to myself, maybe that's how the communication is coming from. Instead of visuals, maybe it's feelings. And then that's when it led to understanding and believing that feelings can mean just as much as visuals. And do I want to believe in them or not? So once I finally got that feeling of trusting the feelings, I feel like that's when my journey started to materialize. It was a lot easier to go into meditations and start to have stronger feelings, start to get certain visuals starting to come through, which I thought was interesting because when it first started happening, I started to question, like, was it just my mind playing tricks, trying to materialize these things because that's what I wanted to see? And then that's when it finally hit me. Like, I can continue to doubt everything that I'm seeing and everything that I'm feeling. And we can doubt that forever. You can always find a way to doubt something. But when was I going to start to accept what I was seeing and feeling? Because as soon as I started to accept it, it started to feel more real. Like I was going down the path I wanted to go, and instead of just being confused all the time. So as soon as that happened, I started to dive into what I possibly was, which is...
Before you get there,
Yeah.
I also wanted to share that Scott did begin to listen to more of like his intuition, such as like listening to music, right? Music also helps with meditation as well. You were listening to more of like drummings, and Scott was starting to immerse himself with water, something that he just naturally, intuitively just wanted to go do the meditation instead of, say, laying on the couch or on the bed or something of that nature.
That's very true, because I did try just laying on the bed for the first couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
It just never really felt like anything was happening. If anything, I just felt like I was falling asleep. But
which he was. The first few guided meditation that we find on YouTube's, like, I was going through just fine, but then when it was Scott's turn, he was snoring like within the first minute.
It was great sleep, but it just didn't feel like that's I guess where I needed to go or how I needed to do it. So I did start to experiment with water and music. And the music was an interesting one because I was like, oh, what do I look up? Like, I don't even know what to look up. But I did start to lean towards the satyr / vulva. Satyr is the male type shaman from Norse, and vulva is the female type shaman from Norse. I know some people have talked about it in the comments of our other videos, and that is the path that I am going. And it was interesting going through the music because you're like, okay, so you type in Norse drums and then there's a whole list of them. But it wasn't just pick one and it worked. It was shuffling through hundreds of different ones, trying to find out which one worked, which one didn't work, what the feelings you got from certain ones. So once I finally did find it and I did start to use the water, everything started to come together. And
how did you know you needed to use water for your meditation?
I will say, I know I remember hearing when we did the Shai, I remember your teacher saying I used mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
And when I thought of that, the first thing that came to my mind was water is a form of a mirror when you look into it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, maybe water is something that I use. But that was just my guess, or something was telling me to go down
I see.
that way. So I started to use water, and it's not like I just knew what to do with the water. I know the first time was this little tray, because I was laying there just laying on the couch, and then I had this little gold tray that was like maybe that deep, and I was like, maybe I should put water in it and see if it glosses over. So I tried it, and then it didn't do anything, and then I was like, maybe I need a bigger bowl. So then I got a bowl where I can dunk my head in it, and that really didn't work. And then I was like, I don't know what to do next. And then next thing you know, I was like, maybe I should try in the shower with it constantly hitting me. And that's when I got the most reaction for myself. That's when I started to feel myself have really strong feelings. When I closed my eyes, I was able to start to see things, which I thought was, again, very random, but it was really cool because I wasn't doubting it this time. I was just like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And it was just my guide walking me through a forest, taking me to this big pedestal that she sat on. And that's when I thought back, I was like, that's fascinating, because that's what the vulvas and the satyrs did. They went and sat on a pedestal and started doing things. So that was the first clarifying one where I'm like, I think I am going in the right direction, and this is me going to commit to going down that path because it feels right.
So I'm curious, I'm wondering, and I don't know if you know the answer right now, but if you're going down this path similar to Hmong shamans, will you need a teacher? I will say not all Hmong shamans need a teacher, but it's useful to have a teacher. Do you need a teacher or a mentor?
I have no idea. If I am supposed to have a teacher, it's not, I don't know where to find them. So hopefully, I don't think I need one. I fully trust that my guides are going to be able to show me the way now that I'm able to communicate with them. So hopefully that bond continues to grow stronger as time goes by. It would be nice to get some information from either you or your teacher just for clarifying purposes. But outside of that, I feel like it's just a path that I'm going to continue to evolve with time. And then, so now that the meditation started to go smoother, I started to dive into, okay, what do I need? I know I'm going to need a staff at some point. I'm not actively looking for one here. I feel like I'm going to find it in Minnesota. I'm really looking for like white oak. For some reason, that's the one I'm really drawn to. And runes were another one that was used a lot. So I started looking into different types of runes that we could have, stone runes, wood runes, stuff like that. I did buy a set and I used it once. No idea what I was using it for. I was just out of my hand and I was like,
you know what's interesting was that before we even started like becoming like really spiritual, we used to go to this, still do, we go to this mystic store in Sacramento. And I would go for like the gems and whatnot, but our daughter Iris, she was really drawn to the runes, and I thought that was so wild because her and Scott, they come from the same realm, and so I thought it was fascinating that Iris was interested in runes before you were interested in it.
She was. That was really cool. And yeah, again, I have no idea what I was using them for or what I'm going to use them for, but I have them.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I think that's pretty much where I'm at in my spiritual journey. I am starting to have visions. Communication has become a lot easier. Now it's just putting all the pieces together, finding out what I need to have on my altar, and going from there. So
I know that you've been having really interesting conversations with people in general about like spirituality and just navigating your own spiritual faith and talking about that with other people.
Yeah, I have been, and I've been reading on things, looking at things, and I'm always interested when people want to talk about their religion. I'm one of the people that if someone comes up to my door and knocks, I'm gonna ask them questions and question them. But I'm gonna listen to what they have to say.
That reminds me of, was it a Christmas party? I don't know. We were at one of my cousin's little party. Oh, for her birthday.
It wasn't for her birthday.
Yeah, and there was Jehovah's Witness that came by the door.
No, they were Mormons.
Oh, Mormons. Sorry. And so. Yeah,
the Mormons. They were walking down the street, and everyone else ran inside. They were like, "No, we got to go inside before they get here." And I was like, "Why? Why do we have to run inside? Like, let's have a conversation with them." So they came up, and I was so...
You sure did have a conversation with them.
I swear I talked to them for like 45 minutes. But I was so...
they loved you.
Yeah, I was really intrigued because it was younger people, like early 20s. One was Korean, and one was white. And I was just like, that's random. But this was... Okay, so this is a very fascinating... So I'm talking to them, and I was like, so what got you into Mormonism? And... tell me your story. How did you get here? Like, how did you choose this path? And then they were like, well, what's yours? And at the time I had no idea about anything. So I was just like, oh, we practice shamanism because you're a shaman.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, it was cool. And then they were like, oh, is your wife Hmong? I was like, yeah. And then they started both speaking Hmong to me. Neither one of them is Hmong. But they both started speaking Hmong to me, and I don't know Hmong, so I felt
He knows enough.
I know enough. I was like, wow, this is weird. And I was like, why do you guys know Hmong? They were like, oh, well, the Mormon church sent them to a year-long camp where they learn how to speak Hmong so they can try and convert. I don't know if that's true, but it seems like they were trying to convert other Hmong people into the Mormon church. So I just thought it was fascinating that they both knew that. But yeah, back to that. I like to ask questions. And when I was looking at these posts that people were saying, a lot of them were Christian-based people saying that if you follow or if you practice shamanism, you're practicing devil work or demon work. And that always just hit me. I'm like, why are we labeling like different religions as demonic? And that kind of led back to the question I've always had from before you even raised was, it was always kind of looked at in a negative light.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just seems weird. Like, why is it being labeled as demonic? And then we're at Thanksgiving, and one of the people there was they were going down the shamanic path, but then they currently went over to the Christian path.
Yeah, newly converted.
Yeah, newly converted. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'm going to talk to you about it, ask you some questions. He asked me questions. But then something struck me like halfway through. He was like, yeah, I realized I didn't want to go down that path because that was demonic work. And that struck me. I was like, why is it demonic work? So I asked him, I was like, why are you labeling it as demonic? And he was like, well, that's just what it feels like. It just feels like I'm doing demonic things because I'm not being faithful to Christ. And I was like, why does it have to be demonic though? Like, why are you making it seem like whatever shaman's doing is demons? Like they're being controlled by demons.
Disclaimer, I am not worshiping any type of demons, okay?
And that's what the part that was kidding me. I'm like, all the shamans that I know are actively demons, not worshiping them. So I was like, this just doesn't make sense.
X.
Huh?
You X out demons.
Oh.
Stop saying.
All the shamans I know are actively Xing out demons. They're not like worshiping them.
Making friends, making deals.
Yeah, I was just like, it just doesn't make sense. And then it led me back to the research that I was doing on Seder and vulvas. And they got X'd out because Christians came to their world and labeled them as witches. Back then, if you were labeled as a witch, you got killed. You got X'd out. And as he was saying that, it just made me think, like, is that still happening today?
That terminology
is that
being loosely thrown around.
Yeah, it's just being thrown around as demonic. But if enough people hear that in a world that is heavily Christian, why would they go to shamanism when all the communities around them are saying that's demonic? How can they feel safe even attempting to go into that?
Or supported. Yeah,
or supported or anything like that when everyone's saying negative things and everyone's trying to push you down and say, no, you need to go here because this is better. And it's like, I asked him, I was like, I can understand that. It's easy to find a community if you're doing Christian route. You can find any church within probably 3 miles of a house that's going to be there that you can find and have a community for. But when it comes to shamanism, where is that support for people that are curious about it, that want to go down that path? But as soon as they start going down it, now all of a sudden you're labeled as demonic or you're a devil worshiper. And that...
I'm sorry,
yeah,
but I wanted to share that it's actually kind of rare to have a community for people who believe in shamanism. And the only community that people tend to find is if they were raised in a household that believes in shamanism. That is their community, their family members and relatives. So it's not going to be like a book club or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing about shamanism.
Yeah, and that's the part that does. I don't know if it sucks for everybody, but it does suck that there's not a place where people can go and just ask questions or be curious and get answers. It's always just you have to go to a certain person to get information.
Yep. Because even the elders inside that said family, sometimes they don't take the time to explain those kinds of things. And the young ones, they're just left like, whatever, I'm just doing what mom and dad told me to do.
Yeah. And it's just a shame that I just felt really bad because I know my journey right now, I don't have anybody to go and talk to. I have people on YouTube and videos that I've reached out to but haven't heard anything back. And that's all I have is other people's interpretation of whatever it is and whatever my guides are teaching me. And I just started to feel bad about Hmong shamanism, and hopefully it doesn't go down that same path where you guys have a community right now, and hopefully people start to feel comfortable enough to want to ask questions or want to be curious about shamanism and not just view it in a negative light or a demonic light, but something that can be beautiful and doesn't have to be scary, because there are people out there that want to help you go down that path and encourage you to go down that path.
Yeah, that was really soulful, Scott.
Thank you.
Very soulful.
And on that note, if there's anything you guys are curious about my path or Seder or Vulva, and you guys have questions about that, I would love to answer them, and it will give me a path to go and research and dive into, as I've been doing a lot of research on it recently, as I've fully accepted that's the path that I am going to go down. And outside of that, even if it comes to Hmong shamanism, Liz is here and we have a community here, and if you guys feel safe enough to ask questions, ask them so we can discuss them and talk about them and help everyone feel a little bit more comfortable in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we let you go, I just want to know, we are still going to do the lock video because I have a bunch of things I want to share. It's just we're trying to coordinate time with Anna and her husband, and so we will hopefully get that video out soon. Yeah,
and we'll have mics next Thursday. Or no, this Thursday.
Yeah.
So next video we'll have mics.
Yeah, our mics that's gone MIA.
Yeah, we lost them.
Yeah. Anyways, we will see you next time.
Yeah, see you guys on the next one.
Bye.